Champions Mojo is part of the CG Sports Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. And today, again, I am co-hosting with Maria Parker. Hey, Maria.
Hey, Kelly.
And of course, we will introduce our guest today, and she's right there with us, Maddy or Madeline Banic. Welcome to Champions Mojo.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited. So we are going to be talking with Maddy Banic, who is a 9-time SEC champion and an NCAA champion who graduated from the University of Tennessee. Maddy specializes in sprint, fly, and free, and she currently swims professionally. Her first year as a pro, she was a member of the LA Current, and then she switched to the Energy Standard team. And during this 2020 season, where she had an outstanding breakout year with the Energy Standard. In addition to her career as a professional swimmer, Maddy is using her past challenges to help others. Maria, can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure, Kelly. Amongst her successes in the pool, Maddy had tough times during her time at Tennessee. After years of fighting anxiety and depression, she came to a very low point and contemplated suicide. She left school to receive treatment and came back with a zest for life and swimming. She went on to be voted captain of her team and win the NCAA in the 200 medley relay her senior year. In addition to her professional swimming career, she's now an advocate for mental health awareness, hoping to help others avoid the despair that she's endured. So we're really delighted to welcome you, Maddy, to Champions Mojo.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, wonderful. And also, we forgot to say that you're a fellow member of CG Sports,
right.
like our podcast. So that's right in there. So, Maddy, let's start off. I know our listeners are going to be like, "Oh, well, what happened?" So, tell us about that low point in your life.
Yeah. So, for me, I had been struggling a bit since high school with some mental health issues, and I wasn't officially diagnosed until my freshman summer of college. And, I went through talking to a therapist, seeing a psychiatrist, trying different meds, trying to be more mindful like they teach you. But I ended up just being in a spot where I was so focused on school and relationships and swimming that I was having a really hard time trying to better myself with all this other pressures going on. So I reached a really low point, and I sat there one Sunday morning and contemplated suicide. And I reached out to my therapist for basically one last cry for help. And she actually got a hold of my roommates before I could do anything. And so those three people basically saved my life. And after that, I decided that I was going to need some real help to be able to, get back to a place where I wanted to swim and wanted to be alive. So I left. I went to a treatment center for a month, learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about other people, and, how many amazing different journeys people go on in their life. And I came back to the university, and I still wanted to swim. I was really excited to rejoin the team. And that itself was a challenge for many different reasons. But eventually I was able to come back. And now I like sharing what I went through. Because I know other people go through it. I've heard other people's stories, you see it on other people's faces, even like people are struggling. And if me sharing my story can help even just one person, then I think it's completely worth it.
Have you had experiences where when you spoke with a group that somebody came up to you afterwards and said, "Thank you for sharing because I felt the way you felt"?
Yes, more than you can imagine. I'm incredibly humbled and, honored that I'm able to, make an impact in someone's life when they're going through something hard. And it does make me sad that it's almost a bittersweet reaction when someone comes up to me and they're like, "Thank you for sharing. Like, I'm going through something similar," because I never want anyone to have to go through something like that. But I'm also really happy that maybe me and sharing my story can help them, have the strength or the courage to ask for help and get better.
That would be my next question is, what things can you tell us to help people who are going through, what have you learned or are going through difficult periods?
I guess what I've really learned is when someone's going through a difficult period, a lot of times they just need someone to listen and someone to talk to. So, I try my best to be a listening ear. I actually talked to my therapist about this week, because I've been trying to help, a handful of people recently. And she had to kind of remind me that, like, I'm not a therapist. Like, I can be there to listen and lend a hand, but it's not my job to fix, and I'm a fixer. I like to fix people and fix things. So, I have to kind of remind myself that, like, I'm here to listen. I'm here to give you advice and point you in the right direction of seeking counseling or seeking treatment. But, that's usually what I try to shoot for when I'm trying to help someone. Be a listening ear, but also point them in the direction they should go.
And Maddy, when you took that time away from the pool, so we all know, that athletics is incredibly challenging and pressure filled at times. And so you took that time out of the water, probably in a very long time. What did you learn about yourself during that time off? And when you were in a treatment center, what did you learn about yourself?
Wow. I learned a lot about myself. I think especially as swimmers, like, we don't really take time off. Like, we don't have an off season, like you might get like 1 or 2 weeks a year, but you're always training, always in the water, always focused on the next thing. So it had been a long time since I was not doing some sort of sport or extracurricular activity. And like, when you go to treatment, you're literally focused to work on yourself for like 9 hours a day, every single day. Like, that's the point. So, I learned honestly a lot about my weaknesses and some of my like more toxic traits. Because I think it's really easy, especially when you're in a down moment, to, blame someone else for the way you're reacting. So I learned a lot, like, about, I was very prideful, and I had a really hard time, owning up to my mistakes and owning up to my actions. So I learned a lot about, like, the kind of person I was and the kind of person I wanted to be. So once you identify the like toxic traits or weaknesses you have, you can start working on them. It's the same as with swimming. Like, if you're not a great puller or you're not very good at doing your kicks underwater off the wall, that's what you start to focus on, right? So it kind of allowed me to take these traits that I wasn't very good at and learn a way that I could handle a situation differently, in a way that I would be more proud of, I guess, would be my best
That's
answer
such
for
a
that.
beautiful, humble answer. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. And we've talked a lot on this show about cognitive distortions, which is kind of another way of saying your toxic traits, because we know from all of the, the thought leaders on depression that mostly, unless it's kind of a, hormone induced or chemical, which Dr. David Burns, who is the author of Feeling Good, and now he's got a new book called Feeling Great. He's an amazing, he's had 40,000 patients that he's cured of depression, cured. And then he's sold, I think he's sold 1 billion copies of that book because it's so helpful. It helped me when I was depressed. So he really believes that our cognitive distortions are our toxic thoughts, like you just keep pounding yourself with these toxic thoughts or cognitive distortions. So when you were, you went through those 9 hours a day of working on Maddy, then how did you carry that forward? Like, how did you carry what you brought there because you seem great today. You seem really upbeat, and how are you maintaining what you learned in there?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think, they say it takes a month to create a habit, right? And I truly think that while I was there, I kind of just, got pounded into my brain so much, like how to react to things. You guys, you talk about in your toolkit, the CBT. We did a version, like a subcategory of that called DBT, the dialect behavior therapy. And we did that all the time while I was there. Like, that was the main focus. And so I just practiced it so much while I was there that even though I was coming home to an environment that, I left in a very negative way, it was almost like very comfortable, and I kind of fell back on what I learned in treatment. It's kind of like falling back on your training when you're racing, instead of just like having to perform in the moment. So I would say that's the best way for, me to describe that. Like I was comfortable now with my new way of thinking, and it honestly was a challenge to, not fall back into old habits, but I also kind of enjoyed the challenge of, being stimulated in a way to where I could try out these new things I learned. Like when you're in treatment, like it's definitely not easy, but it's hard to have real life situations to apply these things that you've now learned. So I was excited and happy to basically try this new way of life, this new way of thinking in my real actual life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So moving ahead a little bit, how do you feel about this incredible breakout season you've had with Energy Standard? What did that mean to you?
Oh, it means the world to me. I'm still like kind of floating on a cloud from it. It had been I think it's like 3 years since I had gone a best time. And it's kind of weird to say because I'd never raced meters before. I did LA Current the first season, but I only swam relays and I did not swim them well. So I had never swam 100 fly short course meters or 50 fly short course meters, which is basically what I did this whole past season. So it was new for me. I had been having some great training before I left, and I was really excited, really confident. And then as the season went on, I just kept getting better, and it gave me more and more confidence. So it's there's just like a weight lifted off of you when you finally reach a goal that you've been working for.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
So you weren't recruited, is that, or at least not initially? Tell me about how you got with the standard.
Yeah.
Energy Standard.
So I actually, I originally was like, I'm not going to do ISL this year because of COVID. I was really nervous about it. I don't like being away from home. Like I love my group of people in Knoxville. I love my dog. Like I didn't want to leave. And with COVID, it seemed like a great excuse to be like, oh no, it's okay. I won't do it this year. But then all of my Tennessee elite teammates actually started joining teams. And I was like, okay, it would probably be really fun to, be overseas with them, even if we're all on different teams, like we still get to see each other. And if my whole training group's leaving me, then I have to train by myself for 6 weeks. And I didn't want to do that. So I started reaching out to teams, and I usually was either ignored or told that they were full, which it was late in the season. So I do believe that some of them were full, but I think, some of them definitely were just like, I don't think you're fast enough. I hadn't had a good swimming season in 3 years. And so I was actually doing a practice one day, and we were doing suited up 75s of fly from the blocks. And I did one, and it was really good. It felt really good. It felt fast. And I looked at my coach and I was like, maybe I should just do 100, see what I can do. And our manager was actually there, and he was videoing us. And I didn't know he was taking videos, but he was. So he videoed my 100 fly, and I ended up going a 50.6 100 fly in a 4-foot pool with one of the really old blocks. I kind of amazed myself. And that was the fastest time I've gone since 2015, I think, in the 100 fly yards. And so they post that to their social media, and, Swim gets a hold of it. And I guess the Energy Standard coaches got a hold of it, and they had been looking for a free and flyer for relays initially. And so they reached out to me, and I had a couple other teams reach out to me after that, actually, but it's very
too late.
Yeah, I know. It's very hard to say no to the defending champions. So I was like, yes, of course, I'd be absolutely honored. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's put that in perspective for some of our non-swimming listeners. When you said you suited up, that means putting on, I'm just giving some lingo here, putting on a very tight technical suit that is the ones that, you race out when you're at the Olympics, for anybody listening there. And then the idea that you're swimming this fast, I want to ask you, what do you think? So let's talk about your best shot at making the Olympic team and how you're going to deal with both if you make the team and if you don't make the team.
Yeah,
let's
definitely.
practice your DBT or CBT.
Yeah,
So
give us an example. Yeah,
give
how
us
that
the
will work.
scenario of you making the team, what event it is, or what your best shot is, and then how you may not, and how you're going to feel about that.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I'm a very future focused person. So I usually get myself in trouble when I'm thinking too far in the future and not staying in the moment. So I really have to bring myself back to the moment. And let's say we're at trials. I'm going for the 100 fly at trials. That's definitely my main event. So while I'm there, I'm going to have to, one, trust my training. That's one of the biggest things. And I feel good about my training. So that's pretty solid. But as I get nervous for it, I really try to invest in my teammates. That's one of the big things, have fun. I'm one of those weird, goofy people, even as I'm getting ready to go up to the blocks, I just have to keep the energy light. But if I'm really starting to feel very, very anxious, then I do this technique. It's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of it. It's very common, but it's 5 things you can touch, 4 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. So you can switch out those last 2. And it's really supposed to ground you and bring you back into the moment. And that really helps for me. I use it all the time whenever I'm starting to feel very overwhelmed, very stressed, which I assume will probably happen at trials. And it just kind of brings me back to the moment. But if I make the team, I'll be ecstatic. That's the dream of every swimmer. But if I don't make the team, I'm very, I can pretty easily refocus on what's next. I actually do this thing before or after I race, whenever I have a swim, which, I kind of put it into any life event I have these days. But after you swim and you have a race, you have to give yourself time to feel, whether it's a happy feeling or you're upset about a race. If you just try to push that down, it's going to bubble up at some point, whether it's happiness or sadness. You have to let yourself feel it. So usually after a race, I'll take, a good 2 to 5 minutes. Maybe I'm warming down, maybe I'm grabbing a protein shake, and let myself feel whatever I'm feeling. And then after that, it's time to refocus on what's next. So it will be a very similar situation to with trials. If it goes the way I want to, then I'll feel really happy and I'll focus on the Olympics. If it doesn't go the way I want to, then I'll be really upset, let myself feel it, and then I'll refocus for the next ISL season. And that's just kind of how I try to, go about doing things.
That is so mature, so incredible.
Yeah.
You really did learn a lot. Did you?
Yeah.
Are you a new person?
I am. You can ask my friends. They're like, you're completely different than when you left. I think I still have all my good qualities, but I've definitely ironed out the wrinkles.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful, Maddy. Yeah. I mean, you've nailed it. This is, I hope people are deeply listening to your answers, because it's so powerful. And the other thing, you mentioned the toolkit, and I have to, it's not a plug because it's free. Anyone who's having anxiety and depression, or either or both, on our Champions Mojo website /toolkit, we've created a toolkit for depression and anxiety, which has multiple, there are 8 things on it that help. It's from CBT to this thought diary app recommendations, or videos to watch. They're really easy. It's all in one place. And Maddy, you said you really thought there were some valuable tools there, right? Yeah,
a lot of stuff that is in that toolkit I use. I love the app idea. I don't use that specific app, but I use one that's very similar. The journaling, the meditation, and the yoga is just such a good idea. Videos are great. I know there's some videos in there to watch. It's just like listening to a podcast. Learn what you can from other people who are, going through it, or know how, or have the experience of helping people deal with it. That's a very easy and, inexpensive way to grow as a human.
Yeah, and I love the way you describe allowing yourself to feel, because we're not talking about like changing your feelings necessarily. We're talking about allowing yourself to feel and then saying, okay, what's a better way to go, or what's because we all experience anxiety. We all get down, bad things happen. And CBT and DBT both, help you to take your thoughts and and turn them into something that can actually help you rather than drag you down. So, and you're just such a great example of somebody who took what she learned and, now you're doing even more than becoming a better person. You're leading in this. So can you tell us about your aspirations for sort of this area of your life in terms of leading?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, especially with swimming, I can't do too terribly much because my focus is swimming. But, I try to do podcasts or do articles with people. Before COVID, I was going to universities, going to organizations and, telling my story, giving speeches. And I do really love doing that. I think eventually I would love to start some form of organization. I love the way that the company Hidden Opponents works on Instagram. It's a bunch of college athletes who are vouching for mental health. And I love the idea of that. I definitely want to keep working with athletes of varying ages. So I think eventually when I'm done swimming, I would love to, tackle more into this and, try to do more than just talk with mental health. But yeah, that's definitely the route that I would like to go down.
Well, talking is great.
Yeah.
Yes. And Maddy, we sometimes ask the question, not always, but what are you most proud of? But I have a feeling if we ask you today, it might be different than what it was, a year ago. Tell us what you're most proud of in your life so far.
Wow. What I'm most proud of in my life. Honestly, right now, it's probably my American record I got at ISL. Because that's just like a dream come true. It wasn't really even on my radar going into the season. And for some reason, I tend to do the best when I don't have something on my radar. And which sounds counterintuitive because everyone's like, make goals, like know what you want to do. But for some reason for me, like when it's not on my radar, I tend to do much better. So that's probably what I'm most proud of. Especially just every time something happens, especially in my swimming career, like winning NCAAs or getting an American record, it just immediately brings me back to that low point. And it just, not in a bad way. It doesn't bring me back in a bad way, but it makes me so gracious and thankful that I went from, being to the point where I didn't want to be alive and I was sitting in my room all by myself in the dark. And then, winning an NCAA championship or having an American record, like getting to swim with some of the best people in the world. Like it really, it really brings me a lot of gratitude.
Nice.
Gratitude. That's always a
is
wonderful feeling to have a lot of powerful. So, as the point of view of this amazing champion, American record holder, what traits do you think that champions share?
Ooh, I think champions they're like dog fighters, like I think champions know what they want and they're going to go get it. They're wolves. Like they hunt, they fight, they're going to do anything they need to get what they want. And that's kind of how I view like champions, like the people in my life who are champions, like all of my Tennessee elite girls are, we're wolves. We call ourselves wolves all the time. We're there to protect each other, but go take what we want. Sarah Swordstrom is, she's a champion, and that girl's, I can't say the word that I want to say on the podcast, but she knows what she wants and she's going to go get it. And I just feel like all the, amazing women who are champions in my life that I look up to all have that character or that character trait of like, they're going to take what they want and they'll do anything they can to get it.
You have a nickname, don't you? That is somewhere along. Yeah.
Yeah. Mad Dog.
Do you like that? Is that something you say? Yeah, I'm a mad dog.
I'm a mad dog. Not really. I got that when I was little, like when I first started swimming. One of my friends' fathers started calling me Mad Dog when I swam. And it's always just kind of carried on. I still have friends like today that call me Mad Dog. But yeah, I think that kind of like almost embodies like my personality too, though. Like I consider myself like a pretty like scrappy person. But yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. So, is there anything that we have not asked you, Maddy, that you would like to share with our listeners?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Share with our listeners.
Imagine somebody is
Anything
listening to
interesting?
this who's depressed or anxious. What would you say to them?
I would say that, put yourself first. You can always go to school. You can always, come back to the sport of swimming, but like, you can't always have your life back, like if you get to a point where it can be too late, and it's never too late to swim. You're never too old to, go back to school, start a new job, like put yourself first, whatever you have to do. That would be my biggest recommendation for someone going through it. Talk to someone, go seek help. It's okay to put your life on hold, to put yourself first, because there's only one of you and you only get one life. So you got to do whatever you got to do to make it what you want.
That is a great answer. We recently just did a podcast called Self-Care Isn't Selfish. So,
Agreed.
That's really, really good advice. All right. Well, we are ready for the sprinter round, and you got a lot of skills in the sprint area. So I'm going to just give us a quick answer. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
Kickboard or no kickboard?
Kickboard.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Football or baseball?
Football.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Nail polish or no nail polish?
No nail polish.
Oh,
All
I like
right.
it.
We're right there. Both of us are with you on that one. Okay, Maria's got some for you.
Okay, favorite color?
Black.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pineapple.
Favorite vegetable?
Ooh, broccoli.
Favorite swim complex in the U.S.?
Oh, Alan Jones.
Wait. You got to explain Alan Jones, because I don't know where that is, and I know almost every pool in the country.
It's Knoxville's pool.
Oh, I didn't know it was called Alan Jones.
Yeah, it's Alan Jones.
Oh, wow.
Jack, for sure.
Did they recently name that?
It was when it was built, which was probably like 6 or 7 years ago.
So maybe they just never promote it like that. Okay, cool. Well, now we know that the Tennessee pool is called Alan Jones.
Alan Jones.
Yeah.
Favorite music genre?
EDM.
I don't know what EDM is either.
It's like electronic dance music.
Oh.
So I'm all over the place.
My husband likes that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I just must have aged myself there. What's your shoe? What's your shoe size, Maddy?
10 and a half.
Do you have any siblings?
I have one sister, younger.
Favorite Star Wars character?
Ooh, I don't like Star Wars.
Favorite Harry Potter character?
Hermione.
Oh gosh.
I'm not a big Harry Potter person either.
Okay.
That's good.
That is good. So you've had your head in the water. You haven't been watching these stupid movies.
No.
Can you cook?
I can cook.
What word comes to mind when you dive into the water?
Tranquility.
Oh,
You
actually answered that like a sprinter. I loved it.
It's so calm. It's so quiet and still. It's beautiful. I love diving in the water.
That is beautiful.
You did a great job with our little sprinter round.
Yes. Well, Maddy, we are going to be cheering for you.
Absolutely.
And no matter what happens at the trials, you're a champion, and that's really what matters. And we really appreciate what you've done today. I think you've reached a lot of people.
Yes, thanks very much. Beautiful.
Yeah,
terrific
thanks for
interview.
having me. I had a great time chatting with you guys.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
It's now time for the takeaways. Maria, you and I have heard the takeaways are the best part of the show.
That's right, Kelly, because the takeaways are curated information, which is what we give to our clients when we coach them.
If you would like to take your performance to the next level in health, life, or leadership, go to our website and schedule your free 30-minute consultation.
Yes, just click on our coaching page and book there. We're looking forward to bringing out the champion in you.
And now, the takeaways. Okay, Maria, what a great interview with Maddy Banic. And I mean, I don't even know that we should do takeaways because people truly, truly need to listen to the entire show. Especially if you just want to think about mental health and mental hygiene and any athletes that are having challenges out there with their mental health. But what was your first takeaway from Maddy Banic?
Yeah, I would just add to what you just said that Maddy is a great example of somebody who was able to take, go through some really tough times and come out really, really good on the other side. I mean, I think sometimes people can think, oh, I'm always going to struggle with this. It's not that she doesn't still struggle, but she's really turned her life around. So great example. I loved that interview. Please listen to it. But my takeaway was I loved her attitude of taking, so Maddy went away to try, she went to stay in a patient facility where she could really deal with her depression and anxiety. And she learned a whole bunch of tools. And then she came back to school. And I think for me, that would have been a really difficult transition. And I think she was anticipating that it was going to be challenging too, but she said, and this is my takeaway, is that she decided that she was really going to look forward to using her new tools, that she was going to look at it as a challenge. And I think that's what's amazing about her and a quality that I want to emulate. It's like, yeah, I'm going to, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to look forward to this as a challenge. Kind of must come with sort of the champion mentality. Yeah, this is hard, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enjoy the challenge of it.
Yeah, I mean, what a valuable, if we all could do that, you know, like, okay, here comes a challenge, but I like challenges.
Right, exactly. Here comes something hard, but I love a challenge. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that goes a lot with how one changes their habits and how you and I coach a lot of people, that you become the person that loves challenges. So instead of just, oh no, here comes a challenge, you say to yourself, I'm the kind of person that likes challenges. Right. So that's how Maddy sees herself. Yeah. So my takeaway, so we're only doing one takeaway each, is I loved as someone who has suffered historically with anxiety, but I loved her own 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is just valuable whether you suffer, panic attacks or anxiety, or you're just needing to ground yourself. I think this is a great technique for grounding, where you take the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is you take 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. And she did say she's a touchy-feely person, so she does 5 things that she can touch versus 5 things that you can see. So it's kind of just mix the 5 senses. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the 5 senses, and then pick whatever of those in order that you can touch 5, see 5, hear 5, whatever you need to do, go down the line. And that really takes your mind to a calmer place. So that was my takeaway that I hope people will try.
Yeah, I think that was really beautiful. And the point of that, I loved how she said, when I get anxious, I would tend to just go away in my mind, and that brings her back. And that's mindfulness. And so I thought that was really helpful. Yeah. Please listen to the whole interview.
Very, very, very great interview. And she's definitely a better person for what she's gone through.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Maria, I love you.
Love you too. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Champions Mojo.